There it is. All right, I'll do one more
Yeah,
time then.
I it's it if I'm honest with you, I don't.
Okay, hang on. Hold that thought. We're gonna talk
Okay,
about we're gonna
okay,
talk about it right now. So let's
okay,
talk
okay,
about Stunt Race FX. Go.
okay. So after playing Stunt Race FX, and I'm also trying to not compare it to F Zero. I don't feel
Mm.
like that's the point of what we're doing here. But playing Stunt Race and then trying to see if this is a game that I would want to sit down and play today in 2021, I'd have to say it's not. There's some it's cool to boot it up and to see it and go, wow, like this was in 1994 on the Super Nintendo, and this is beautiful for that time. And and then you start playing it and you're like, this game is busted.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. This both this game and F Zero are technical showcases, right? And F Zero,
Right.
I think, is good in spite of that. That it's not just that it had more going on for it than just being that. Stunt Race
Right.
FX. There's some aspects of it that I think are important as far as it's being as the technical showcase, like the fact that it is showing off the 3D capabilities of what the FX chip was capable of, and then just how it looked. Like that Aqua Tunnel stage, the one that neither of us could beat, looks really good for its time.
Right.
Like we were looking at it, I was just like, oh man, and thinking about the other courses that could possibly be in that same vein. I think that's really cool. But you'll notice that everything I'm saying to praise the game right now is in regards to the fact that it's a technical showcase.
Right.
Um, and that's because I think that's all this game really is. I think, if I'm being quite brutally honest, I think that's all this game really has value in today. Now, to talk about some of the other modes that this game had, there was also a little stunt mode where you're like trying to grab stars and go there. That's okay. It looks fine. It's not the most fair with how you have to collect the stars, but it's okay. It's okay. Both that and the racing modes are okay. The test mode is meant to teach you how to play, and then the game did have multiplayer, which we were talking about how F Zero, like if your whole thing is like you want to play multiplayer with a person, this game does have it.
Right.
That being said, that multiplayer mode was not great because
No.
you only had 4 courses to start off with. So even if all you really care about in a racing game today is playing with a friend, you're gonna run out of steam very quickly, having only 4 courses to go through. And then on top of that, because of the technical limitations of this game, when each of you have your own screen to work with, you can't see what's in front of you really well at all. Like,
No.
not at all. Like in the single player mode, you can at least see where you're going. With 2 player mode, no. Then it doesn't perform well, and with so few courses, it's not even that much of worthwhile of a multiplayer endeavor. So I can't really even give this game credit for that because even though it had what F Zero didn't have, it just didn't have enough, and it didn't perform as well that I could really call it a boon.
Right.
And again, the game isn't really, it's not good, but it's not awful. It's perfectly middle of the road in terms of his gameplay, both in terms of the racing mode and the stunt mode. And
Right.
as you said it very well. In 2021, is this a game that I would want to go back to? No. I think this is a game that if I want to understand Nintendo's history and want to see what the Super Nintendo could do, marvel at that for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. This is a great game to do that. I'm glad this is here only for that reason, that people can check out this game. That is like, it's not a game that's talked about very often. In fact, when I was putting this game on Twitch for us to play as like the game we're playing, it doesn't even have a box art. There's a few the games that you put on Twitch that don't even have box art because there's just not enough people that know about it or care about it or play about it. And
Right.
I can't necessarily say that Twitch is even wrong for not having this box art up there, because playing it, you know, even on the historical side of it, It's not even that necessarily important. I'm making it sound more
Right.
important than it actually is. It's a very
Well,
it's a
and I think you make a great point there. It's important only if you want to see the graphical showcase of what the Super Nintendo could offer. It's not the only game that could do that either.
Exactly. We were talking about how Star Fox also did that, and that became a series. Super
Right.
Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, also, it was still a 2D skyscroller, but it very much did use the power of the Super FX chip. And that game, and the Yoshi's Island, became its own series as well, apart from the Mario series. So
Hmm.
it's not even. I really came into this saying it was a very okay. I think this was the very first FX chip game that came out, and maybe that's why it's a little more why it gave us this importance. While it may have been the first, it most certainly was not the best.
Right.
Yeah, what I said before. This if you're curious to see this at the time revolutionary technology that was there, and you just want to know your Nintendo history, this is 100% worth it to put on for 5 to 10 minutes so you can see that yourself. But I don't want to play this game anymore. like
No. No.
it didn't control there's so many other racing games out there, and this one didn't control well enough for me to really enjoy. The only people who I could really see enjoying this game long term are people that had to play this back then. I cited Andre Seegers at the beginning of the game. I'm fully convinced now that he must have grown up with this game. That
Right.
he has nothing but nostalgia for this game, and that's why he loves it so much. But if a new person was to come in today and play this game, no, I can't recommend this to you. This game doesn't hold up.
No.
There's so many better controlling games out there. Its technical showcase is impressive for a few minutes, but only just so you can see it. But obviously, even graphically, it's not it's a Super Nintendo game. And honestly, sprite work holds up a lot better than the attempt at 3D graphics. When we said this game looked good, we were 100% using it with the filter of the fact that it's impressive that the Super Nintendo could even run a game like this.
Right.
But as far as it actually holding up graphically, it doesn't. Super Mario World holds up because it's a nice 2D sprite games, and I think 16 sprite based games still hold up very well today. Hell, Octopath, this is an RPG, of course, but Octopath Traveler is an HD game that's meant to emulate the experience of playing like the old 16-bit games in terms of its graphics. That's a testament to how well this graphical style still holds up today in terms of that. But if we're talking about a game that was attempting to be a 3D game on the Super Nintendo, again, cool that you could do it, but then you go to the actual N64 or every other system after that, and it's suddenly not as impressive. This was a nice stepping stone, but that's just what it is, a stepping stone. It's nothing really important today. So if we're talking about the raw whether it holds up, this is the definition of a game that unfortunately just does not hold up today.
I agree. And I think you said it great. I'm not gonna to try and reword everything you just said, but I agree. It's fun. I would recommend if you like a little bit of Nintendo history, put 5 minutes into it, put 10 minutes into it. You won't regret it, but you also probably won't pick it back up again, and that's okay.
That is
Uh,
okay. Yeah. And that's pretty yeah. Oh boy, Dylan, there aren't too many games that we play on this show that there are some games that I come into it being like, was this ever good? There are some games that I come out to it as yeah, this is still good. This is a game, I don't know, I I'm thinking about in the context. I'm really trying to frame myself in the context of a '90s kid who got this for the Super Nintendo, and it
and
was yeah. Go ahead.
and that's where I'll say, if I got Stunt Race FX and I'm a 90s kid and sitting there, this is one of the only games that I've got for my Super Nintendo. You turn it on and it looks so good, and you're getting to race with your buddy, and you've got these different cars you can choose from, and it's fun. There is an element to it being fun.
Mm,
And like I said, I think if I was playing this game more, I'm not interested to. I don't really want to just in 2021. But in 1994, I probably would have put some time into it. I would have gotten really good with the controls, and I wouldn't have had those same difficulties that you and I had,
sure.
that also contributed to us not enjoying it. But all that to say, in 2021, I just don't want to. And that's why,
Yes.
my official opinion, it doesn't hold up. But I
Yeah.
don't think that means it wasn't good in its time.
That's what I was gonna say, but I also want to raise a counterpoint. At this point, I think we've talked enough about this game's singular merits as to whether or not it
Right.
holds up, and we feel it doesn't. But for the sake of argument, let's what we were doing a second ago. Let's put in the context of the '90s. Let's say someone had this game, but they also had Super Mario Kart. Now, between the two, how many people would rather play this as opposed to Super Mario Kart Super Mario Kart came out 2 years prior? Like,
Right.
if someone had owned both games, would they rather play this as opposed to Super Mario Kart?
No.
And that was my mindset too. The only thing that would possibly sway someone to go to Stunt Race FX as opposed to Super Mario Kart would be the 3D graphics that weren't otherwise attainable at the time.
Right.
You have that ooh ah factor
All
as the
you're
90s.
picking with Stunt Race FX is the graphics as compared to the other racing games of the 90s. If you could pick up F-Zero, if you could pick up, Mario Kart, you would stick with that. And
Exactly.
you would not regret playing Super Mario Kart or F-Zero. And that's where I stand on it. So that I think that's a great point, just to bring it up and say, while it would have been fun in its time, comparably, still not as much fun as you could have had with a different racing game.
Agreed. Agreed. And Super Mario Kart is like, it's almost unfair, but if we have to make a Super Nintendo comparison, that's the obvious one to go to because everyone had
Right.
Super Mario Kart that had a Super Nintendo, and that game, Super Mario Kart had 8 racers. It had a racing mode and battle mode, both playable 2-player. So the battle mode
Right.
you could go against your friend and fight against them, and Super Mario Kart had way more courses that could be played
Right.
both with single player and double and 2-player. So yeah, it's no surprise then that's the one that Super Mario Kart, of course, also because it had Mario and characters. It's no surprise that ended up becoming one of Nintendo's biggest series today. While Stunt Race FX got lost in the shuffle because it was a technical showcase that just really couldn't go any further than that. And I don't even know if for I don't know why they would even do this, but if they were to bring this series back in a modern series, I just really don't feel like there's even a furor for this to even come back in any regard. The cars look weird and cute, I guess, but it's not like after playing this, I'm like, oh man, give this game another try.
Right.
There's gotta be room for a modern stunt race. No, I'm fine with this game, just being this little interesting little tidbit in Nintendo's history, and being nothing more than that.
Right.
Not every Nintendo, a lot of Nintendo fans have a trouble understanding this. Not everything Nintendo made needs to become a series that keeps coming back. I think F-Zero
Right.
should, but that's another story. But Stunt Race FX, I don't think it was a nice little it's tech showcase. That's what it is. Super
I
Nintendo tech
agree.
showcase. Show it off. Move on with your day. That's it.
I agree.